Welcome to Reddit Confessions.
My wife told me she was flying to Bali for her ex-husband's birthday. That's how she said it. Between two spoonfuls of a sigh, like it was the weather forecast. Not even a pause. Not even the courtesy to look guilty. I sat there, coffee cooling in my hand, watching her lips form the words that detonated my marriage. For Luke's birthday, she repeated, as if I hadn't heard. Her ex. The one she swore she was done with. The one she called toxic. The one she described as a lesson, not a mistake. And now, apparently, he was worth a 12-hour flight across the world. I set my coffee down carefully. When did you decide this? Last week. She dabbed her mouth with a linen napkin, like she was in a hotel cafe instead of our Miami kitchen. He reached out. Said he wanted to talk. Closure, you know? Closure. That word. The kind cheaters polish up so it doesn't sound like what it really is. I didn't move. Didn't argue. I'd learned something about Kendra over the years. When she smelled conflict, she thrived. When she smelled silence, she underestimated. Don't look at me like that, she added, standing, her silk blouse slipping off one shoulder. It's not cheating. I'm just being civil. I forced my jaw to unclench. Civil. Yes. She swept toward the hallway mirror, sunglasses in hand, voice turning sharper. You always think the worst. Not every man I talk to is a threat, Marcus. Just the one you married before me. Her lips twitched, but she didn't answer. Instead, she adjusted her hair, tugged the strap of her top, perfected her reflection like she was prepping for a photo shoot. It's only a few days, she said. And honestly, you could use the space. The suitcase wheels scraped across the bedroom floor. I sat in the silence, my pulse climbing with each zip of a bag. I should have stopped her. Should have demanded an explanation, should have begged or screamed or broken something. But that's not who I am. Instead, I rinsed my mug, placed it carefully in the sink, and walked into my office, where her laptop sat glowing on the desk. Normally, I wouldn't touch it. Kendra was territorial about her devices, laptop, phone, tablet. She guarded them like they were extensions of her body. But that morning, with the echo of her heels still in the hallway, my hand moved before I could stop it. The screen was still open to her last search, cheap flights Bali. I almost laughed. Influencers always showed you the champagne, never the bill. Curiosity turned into instinct. I opened her files. She organized everything like she organized her Instagram grid. Neat, perfect, labeled like a museum exhibit. Partnerships, campaigns, trips. And then I saw it. A folder labeled, Just Closure. PDF. My pulse spiked. I clicked. The itinerary unfolded in sharp, black text. Flight to Bali, 2 tickets. Luxury resort, ocean view suite. Dinner reservations for 2. Spa package, couples massage. Not just closure. A vacation. A reunion. I sat back in my chair, staring at the screen until the letters blurred. Kendra thought she was clever. She thought I'd stay quiet, stay predictable, keep managing the spreadsheets and the investments while she managed the lies. But numbers don't lie. And her balance sheet was about to collapse. My phone buzzed on the desk. A message from Leah. She's really doing it, isn't she? My thumb hovered over the keyboard. Leah knew. Her sister. Quiet Leah, the one who'd always been in Kendra's shadow. Before I could reply, the front door opened again. Kendra's perfume swept back into the apartment, all expensive vanilla and arrogance. She peeked her head into my office, oversized sunglasses perched like armor. Oh, and Marcus? She said, voice dripping with false sweetness. Yes. Don't snoop while I'm gone. Her smile was too sharp, her tone too pointed. She suspected something. Maybe she always did. Then she was gone for good. Heels clicking down the hallway, suitcase wheels dragging like a drumbeat of arrogance. The silence she left behind wasn't empty. It was fuel. I looked around the apartment. White leather couch. Glass tables. Art pieces we didn't even like, but bought because her followers did. Our life wasn't built on love. It was built on optics. And she thought she was always one step ahead. I looked back at the laptop. At the folder name glowing like a dare. Just closure. PDF. My hands curled into fists. If she wanted closure, I'd give her one. A permanent one. I didn't waste time. If Kendra was boarding a flight to Bali with her ex, then every second she spent in the air was a second I could use to erase her foundation. I've spent my whole career in finance. I know how to move money without raising alarms. I know how to lock accounts, reroute balances, hide trails. To Kendra, money was just a prop, designer shoes, champagne brunches, curated spontaneous vacations. To me, money was leverage, a weapon, and I was about to use it. The first call I made was to our bank. Joint account. I moved the balance, every dollar, into a personal account she couldn't touch. Clean, legal, permanent. The second step, her credit card. It was in her name, but I was the co-signer. I'd been paying it down for years, quietly cleaning up after her impulsive purchases. I called the card company, restructured the debt, then transferred the balance fully into her name. $42,000. A weight she couldn't post her way out of. By the time her plane was taxiing down the runway, she was already broke. But that wasn't enough. Revenge has a flavor, and mine needed to be slow, deliberate, impossible to mistake for anything but intentional. So I drafted a letter. Short. Surgical. Kendra, you said this was just closure. Consider this mine. By the time you read this, the locks are changed, the accounts are closed, and the debts are yours. Enjoy Bali. Don't bother coming back. Marcus. I printed it, slid it into a yellow envelope. Her favorite color, her brand aesthetic. Then I taped it to the door of our apartment. The symbolism mattered. She always cared about appearances, about how things looked from the outside. Well, the first thing she'd see when she returned would be a locked door and a yellow envelope with her name on it. I stood there for a moment, staring at it, letting the weight of what I was doing sink in. My hands weren't shaking. My breath was steady. I wasn't a husband anymore. I was an executioner. That evening, I poured myself a glass of bourbon and sat by the window, looking out at the Miami skyline. Neon lights blinked across the glass towers, reflections shimmering on the water. This city thrived on illusions. Wealth that wasn't real. Marriages that were hollow. Influencers who built empires on lies. Kendra fit right in, but I was pulling her mask off. The next day, I got the call from building management. Mr. Reed, just confirming. You requested the locks to be changed? Yes. Your wife won't have access anymore. She's not my wife, I said flatly. Not anymore. The silence on the line was delicious. By noon, everything was finished. Her keys were useless. Her cards were frozen. Her accounts were drained. I could already picture it. Her standing outside the door in those designer heels, suitcase at her feet, confidence cracking as reality hit. But the envelope was the masterpiece. Because it wasn't just paper. It was proof. Proof that she hadn't won. That her little trip wasn't a secret. That I had known, planned, and moved faster than she ever could. She always thought she was 2 steps ahead. But she never realized I played the long game. I didn't need to scream. I didn't need to break things. I just needed to let the silence and the debt do the talking. Inside the yellow envelope, divorce papers, 0 balances, and a credit card debt worth $42,000. All in her name. She came back 3 days later. I heard her before I saw her. The sound of manic fists pounding on the apartment door, the shrill rise of her voice echoing down the hallway. Marcus, open the damn door. I sat at the kitchen counter, swirling a glass of bourbon in my hand, calm as a surgeon. The pounding grew louder. What the hell is this? My key doesn't work. What did you do? I let her scream. Neighbors peeked from their doors, phones out, recording. Exactly what I wanted. Finally, I walked to the door and pressed my forehead against the wood. Read the envelope. There was a pause, then the rip of paper. Silence. And then it came, a scream so raw it almost made me smile. You bastard. Her voice cracked. You took everything. This isn't cheating, Marcus. It's not even lying. I told you where I was going. I told you it was closure. Her words came out ragged, desperate, like she was pleading with herself as much as me. I didn't answer. Silence was my weapon. Then the knob turned, not from her side, but from the inside. The door opened, and standing there wasn't me. It was Leah, Kendra's little sister. Her hair was tied back, her expression calm in a way Kendra's never was. She looked Kendra up and down, designer luggage at her feet, mascara smudged from travel, desperation bleeding through her perfect Instagram face. You should have deleted your DMs, Kendra, Leah said quietly. The hallway went dead silent. Even the neighbors froze, phones trembling in their hands. Kendra blinked, stunned. What? Leah stepped into the doorway, arms crossed. You didn't think Marcus would find out? You used me as your alibi, remember? Every time you said you were with me, shopping or having drinks, I was texting Marcus. I was telling him everything. The color drained from Kendra's face. You're lying. No. Leah's voice was steady. You are. You always have been. I finally stepped into view, standing behind Leah, my glass still in my hand. Closure looks a lot different when it comes with receipts, don't you think? Kendra's mouth opened and closed, like she was drowning. This is insane. Leah, why would you? But then her eyes flicked between us. Me standing calm, Leah unmoving, and the truth cracked open in her mind. You're in love with him, she whispered. Leah didn't answer. Didn't need to. Her silence said everything. The hallway erupted. Neighbors whispering. Phones still recording. The scene spreading online before Kendra could even process the betrayal. She stumbled back, clutching the shredded yellow envelope in her hand like it could save her. You planned this. Both of you. You set me up. I leaned against the doorway, watching her unravel. No, Kendra. You set yourself up. We just stopped cleaning up your mess. Her scream tore through the hall again, but this time it wasn't anger. It was fear. Because for the first time in her life, Kendra realized she wasn't in control of the story. We were. Kendra barged past Leah like a storm, dragging her suitcase into the living room, ignoring the fact that the locks had been changed. Her face was red, streaked with tears and fury. You two are sick, she spat, dropping the shredded yellow envelope onto the coffee table. Teaming up against me? My own sister? Leah closed the door behind her and leaned against it, calm as ever. You used me as your alibi, Kendra. Did you really think I wouldn't notice? Kendra spun, her hair whipping across her face. Alibi? You were supposed to have my back. I did. Leah's voice didn't rise. It was low, steady, cutting. Until I realized you weren't just lying to Marcus. You were lying to me. Every time you swore you were with me, I had to live with your secrets. You dragged me into your mess, and I decided I wasn't going to be your shield anymore. Kendra's laugh was bitter, jagged. So what? You ran to my husband? You too conspired to ruin me? I finally stepped forward, setting my glass down with deliberate calm. You ruined yourself. Leah just helped me document it. Kendra turned, wild-eyed, pointing at Leah. Why? Why would you do this to me? For the first time, Leah hesitated. Her lips parted, but no sound came out. Her eyes flicked to me, then back to her sister. And in that silence, Kendra's expression shifted. Anger melted into shock. Oh my God, she whispered. Her hand flew to her mouth. You're in love with him. Leah's cheeks flushed, but she didn't deny it. Kendra's laugh came out broken, a mix of rage and disbelief. You've always been jealous of me. Always. First it was clothes, then friends, then attention. And now it's Marcus? Leah's voice was barely above a whisper. I didn't plan for it. It just happened. You didn't plan for it? Kendra's voice cracked, shrill and venomous. You sat there smiling at my wedding, giving speeches, pretending to be happy for me, all while drooling over my husband? Leah straightened, her calm returning. No, I sat at your wedding watching you treat him like a prop, like a paycheck, like another brand deal. You never deserved him, Kendra. You never even saw him. The words hung heavy in the air. Even I felt them sink in. Kendra's jaw clenched, her eyes blazing. You think he wants you? You think Marcus would ever look twice at you? Please. Your background. You've always been background. Leah flinched, but only for a moment. Then her gaze hardened. Background doesn't mean blind. I've seen the way you've used him. And I've seen the way he looks when you leave the room. He deserves better. Kendra whipped around to me, desperate now. Tell her. Tell her she's delusional. Tell her you don't feel anything. I didn't answer, and that silence broke her more than any words could. Her voice cracked, trembling now. Marcus, you can't. You can't do this to me. I'm your wife. I stared at her, at the woman who thought she could fly across the world for her ex and still come home to my loyalty. You stopped being my wife the moment you booked those tickets. She staggered back like I'd struck her. Leah stepped closer, her voice steady, almost gentle. This isn't about me, Kendra. It's about you finally facing the truth. You're not the victim. You're the author of your own downfall. Kendra's breathing grew ragged. Her hands shook as she grabbed her phone, swiping furiously. You think you've destroyed me? Watch this. My followers will eat this up. I'll tell them everything. I'll tell them you set me up, that you're both psychopaths. Her words died on her lips as she looked at the screen. Her followers were already turning. I'd made sure of it. Kendra gasped, staring at her phone in horror. Her voice broke into a whisper. They're already posting about me. Kendra's face drained of color as she scrolled through her phone, her hands trembling. No, she whispered. No, no, no. Leah leaned against the wall, arms crossed, calm as a storm waiting to break. I stayed silent, sipping my bourbon, watching the screen light up her panic. What's wrong? I asked, my tone deliberately flat. They think I cheated, Kendra stammered, her voice cracking. Someone's posting screenshots, my DMs with Luke. How the hell? Leah raised an eyebrow. You really should have deleted those. Kendra's head snapped up. You? Leah shrugged. You made me your alibi. You gave me access to your accounts when you needed someone to schedule posts while you were off having closure. You didn't think I'd keep the receipts? Kendra's hands shook as she scrolled. The screen reflected in her glassy eyes, her carefully curated Instagram feed now polluted with comments that cut like knives. So closure means flying across the world to your ex? Classy. Imagine humiliating your husband for a Bali trip. She's been lying to all of us. Unfollow. She dropped onto the couch, mascara smudging as tears finally spilled. They think I'm a fraud. They think I'm. You are, I interrupted. Her eyes widened, like I'd slapped her. You built your brand on honesty, didn't you? On authenticity. I continued, walking closer, lowering my voice. But every story, every filtered post, every smile, it was all a script. Now the truth's out. And your followers don't like liars. Leah smirked, her voice low but sharp. Welcome to being cancelled, sis. Kendra threw her phone across the room. It clattered against the wall, the screen splintering like her composure. You don't get it, she screamed. This is my career. My life. If I lose this. You lost it the moment you bought those plane tickets. I cut in. She shook her head violently, standing, pacing, pulling at her hair. No, I can fix this. I'll post a video. Alive. I'll tell them it was all fake, a stunt, a marketing campaign. Leah laughed bitterly. You can't spin your way out of reality, Kendra. People already see you for what you are. And screenshots? They don't disappear. Her phone buzzed on the floor. She scrambled to grab it, swiping with frantic fingers. An email notification flashed across the cracked screen. She froze. Her lips parted, trembling as she read. No. What is it? I asked, though I already knew. She looked up at me with horror in her eyes. A brand deal. They're pulling out. They said, her voice broke into a sob. They said they don't associate with dishonesty. Leah's smile was razor sharp. Which one? Kendra's hands shook as she whispered, Vita Glow. 50 grand. Gone. Leah whistled softly. Ouch. That's half a year's rent in this place. Kendra clutched her phone to her chest like a lifeline. I can fix it. I can apologize. They'll forgive me. I leaned down, my voice calm, cutting through her panic. They don't forgive. They forget. And you're already halfway erased. Her phone buzzed again. Another email. Then another. Each one another nail in her coffin. She dropped to the floor, knees folding under her, sobbing into her hands. The glamorous influencer who lived for validation was crumbling in front of me, barefoot, disheveled, mascara streaking like ink. Leah's voice was almost kind as she delivered the final blow. It's over, Kendra. And you did it to yourself. Kendra looked up, her face twisted with rage and despair. You think you've won? Both of you? This isn't over. But her phone buzzed again before she could finish. Another email. Another contract terminated. Her world was collapsing, one notification at a time. She gasped as she read the latest email. The words blurred in her tears, but we heard her whisper it out loud. We're terminating your contract effective immediately. Kendra had always been stubborn. It was the same stubbornness that once made her magnetic, the quality that made brands line up to work with her. But now, it was the same quality dragging her down into ruin. After the sponsorship emails started pouring in, contract terminations one after another, she locked herself in the bedroom for hours. Leah and I could hear her pacing, hear the muffled cries, the frantic tapping of her phone. By nightfall, she emerged with her suitcase. Makeup reapplied, hair ironed straight, lips painted red like war paint. I'm going back, she announced, as if we were waiting for her proclamation. Leah frowned. Back where? Bali, she said, her voice trembling with determination. Luke's throwing a ball. Everyone who's anyone will be there. If they see me walk in with him, the narrative changes. They'll forget all this noise. I leaned back in my chair, studying her. So you're doubling down. Kendra's eyes flashed. I'm saving myself. You don't get it. They'll believe what they see. And they'll see me on his arm. She grabbed her suitcase handle and stormed toward the door. Leah muttered under her breath. She's about to live stream her own execution. I didn't have to wait long. 2 nights later, my phone buzzed. Leah slid onto the couch beside me, smirking as she tilted her screen my way. She's live again. And there she was. Kendra, in a shimmering gold gown, strutting into Luke's birthday ball like she owned the place. Chandeliers sparkled overhead, a jazz band played softly, and the camera followed her as if the whole night were scripted for her comeback. Her caption read, "Love always deserves a second chance, red heart sparkles, #closure, #volleyball." The comments exploded immediately. She went back. Queen energy, she's unstoppable. This is either genius or insane. But then Luke appeared on screen, whiskey glass in hand, loose tie hanging from his collar. And the smile that spread across his face wasn't affection. It was mockery. "Kendra," he said loudly enough for the camera and the entire ballroom to hear. "Didn't think you'd actually fly out again." The crowd chuckled. Phones were already recording from every angle. Kendra forced a dazzling smile. "Of course I came. I mean, we have history. Closure, right?" Luke raised his glass, eyes glinting with cruelty. "Closure? That what you told your husband? That's what you told everyone last time too, wasn't it?" The laughter around them grew. The chat on her live stream went berserk. Kendra's mask cracked. Her voice shook. "Luke, don't." But he cut her off, raising his glass to the entire room. "Let's be clear. I'm married. Happily married. This," he gestured at her, smirking, "is nostalgia. A joke. You were always fun, Kendra. But you're not the main event anymore." The crowd gasped, laughed, whispered. The band faltered. Kendra stood frozen, her live stream still rolling, thousands of her followers watching her humiliation in real time. Luke smirked, raising his glass high. "To closure." The entire ballroom echoed him. "To closure." And the last thing her followers saw before the feed cut out was Kendra's face, broken, desperate, crumbling, as her phone slipped from her hand. One clip replayed endlessly online, Luke raising his glass, smirking. "To closure." And the caption underneath. "Influencer flies to Bali for her ex, twice, only to be humiliated live at his birthday ball." The live stream ended, but the clips didn't. By morning, Kendra's humiliation was everywhere. TikTok edits, Twitter memes, Instagram reels. The caption wrote itself. She flew to Bali. Twice. For closure. Some called it tragic. Most called it hilarious. I didn't laugh. Not out loud. But I did watch the videos more than once, letting each replay remind me that she had done this to herself. Meanwhile in Bali, Kendra was unraveling. A guest at the ball filmed her storming out barefoot, heels in her hands, mascara streaking her cheeks as she shoved past the crowd. The clip cut off as she collapsed against a marble pillar, phone slipping from her grip as she sobbed. Hours later, another video surfaced. Kendra in the resort lobby, sitting on the floor in her gold gown, her suitcase beside her like a coffin. She was crying into her hands while receptionists tried to get her to move. And then came the cruelest clip of all, one I watched with Leah at my side. Luke, leaning over her in the lobby, his voice dripping with fake sympathy. "You want me to pay for your flight back?" "No, Kendra. Talk to Marcus. He's the finance guy." The camera caught everything. Her face breaking at the mention of my name, the sound of guests laughing nearby, the receptionist looking anywhere but at her. The clip went viral instantly. "Talk to Marcus. He's the finance guy." It became a meme within hours. Screenshots on shirts. Hashtags on TikTok. People lip-syncing the line for clout. And all the while, Kendra was still in Bali, stranded. Her messages came next. The first one hit my phone at 3 a.m. Miami time. "Marcus, please. I can't get a flight. My cards don't work. Just help me, just this once." I didn't answer. By sunrise, there were 3 more. "I'm sorry. I know I screwed up. But I'm stuck here. You're the only one I can count on. Please don't do this to me. Marcus." I poured myself coffee, handed Leah hers, and slid the phone across the counter. She read the messages, her lips tightening. "She really thinks you'll save her." I sipped my coffee, watching the steam curl. That's the problem. She still thinks I'm her safety net. Leah set the phone down. What are you going to do? I didn't answer. Not yet. By noon, another video surfaced, this time from a tourist in the airport. Kendra at the counter, pleading with the airline staff. My husband will cover it. He's a finance manager. Just call him. He'll pay, I swear. The employee's response was muffled in the video, but the meaning was clear. The transaction had been declined. Kendra's face crumpled on camera, and the tourist filming chuckled. The video hit 1 million views in 2 hours. Leah watched it on her phone, shaking her head. She's turning into a spectacle. She always was, I said quietly. Now the world just sees it. That night, another message came. Longer this time. Marcus, I can't do this. I don't have anyone else. My sister hates me. Luke humiliated me. The internet is tearing me apart. I know I was selfish. I know I hurt you. But please, I'm begging you. Just help me get home. I'll fix this. I'll fix us. Please. Leah stood beside me as I read it. Her hand brushed mine, light but certain. She'll never stop, she whispered. Not until you let her drown. I stared at the screen, at the desperate words of a woman who had once been untouchable. And then I did what she feared most. I turned off my phone. Kendra was stranded in paradise, begging for help. And for the first time in our marriage, I gave her nothing but silence. Kendra didn't come home right away. Her messages slowed, then stopped. The internet had already moved on, chewing her up and spitting her out like yesterday's scandal. By the time she finally caught a flight back, her empire was already in ruins. But by then, Leah was already here. It started small. She came by more often, checking on me after Kendra's collapse went viral. She brought takeout, wine, and quiet company. Unlike her sister, Leah didn't fill the room with noise. She listened. She let the silence breathe. One night, after a late dinner, she lingered at the kitchen island while I rinsed glasses. Do you want me to stay here for a while? She asked softly. Just so you're not alone. I studied her face. She didn't say it out of pity. She said it like she'd already decided, like she belonged here more than Kendra ever had. Yeah, I said finally. Stay. And that's how Leah moved in. It was strange at first, seeing her toothbrush in the bathroom, her shoes by the door, her sweater draped across the couch. But it didn't feel invasive. It felt right. She fit into the spaces Kendra had always dominated. Instead of blasting music at 7 a.m., Leah brewed coffee in silence. Instead of constant Instagram stories, she curled up with a book. And she noticed things, like the way I stacked the mail into neat piles by the entryway, the way I always set my glass down on the left side of the counter, the way I needed silence at night before I could sleep. Kendra had ignored those details. Leah absorbed them. One evening, we sat on the balcony overlooking Miami's skyline. The city hummed beneath us, neon lights, distant car horns, ocean air heavy with salt. Leah poured 2 glasses of wine, handing me one. She never deserved you, she said quietly. I looked at her. That's not your decision to make. Her eyes held mine. No, but it's mine to see. And I saw it years ago. The weight of her words pressed between us. Years ago, I took a slow sip of wine, but my hand brushed hers as I set the glass down. She didn't pull away. For a moment, we just sat there, the night stretching long and heavy, her hand lingering against mine. The air shifted. Something unspoken passed between us. Her lips parted, her voice barely above a whisper. Marcus. I leaned closer, just enough to feel the warmth of her breath. But then I pulled back. Not like this, I said, my voice steady but low. Not until it's truly over. Leah's eyes searched mine. Then she nodded slowly, withdrawing her hand, though her expression said everything she didn't. She'd wait. Inside, the silence wasn't empty anymore. It was charged. Every glance, every brush of her hand, every late-night glass of wine on the balcony, it all carried a weight neither of us named. But I knew one thing for certain. Kendra had lost her grip, and Leah was already taking her place. I thought she might slip back into Miami quietly, but Kendra was never capable of quiet. It happened on a Tuesday night. Leah and I were in the kitchen, sharing leftover Thai takeout, when my phone started buzzing nonstop. Notifications, mentions, texts from coworkers, and even old college friends I hadn't heard from in years. Check this, Leah said, already holding up her phone. And there she was, Kendra. The video was shaky, filmed from across the street by some neighbor who had the sense to hit record when they heard the screaming. Kendra was standing barefoot in front of our building, mascara smeared, hair wild, her designer dress clinging wrinkled to her body. She was pounding on the glass doors, suitcase toppled beside her. "Marcus!" she screamed, voice breaking. "Let me in. This is my home." Security guards hovered nearby, unsure if they should intervene. Neighbors watched from balconies, phones out, capturing every second. She kicked the door, sobbing now, her voice raw. "I didn't lie to you. It wasn't cheating. It was closure." The comment section under the reposted clip was merciless. Not closure, just exposure. From influencer to unhinged in 30 days. "This is hard to watch, but I can't stop." Someone had even added captions in bold white letters. "When you fly to cheat and come back homeless." The video racked up 500,000 views in hours. By morning, it was everywhere. Kendra must have seen it too, because the next day, she was gone. Not from the internet. No, she was still posting desperate apologies and teary-eyed rants on her stories. But physically, she wasn't at the building anymore. "Where do you think she went?" Leah asked, pouring coffee. "Doesn't matter," I said. "Everywhere she goes, the internet follows." Sure enough, new videos surfaced. One of her screaming at a hotel clerk when her credit card got declined. Another of her arguing with an Uber driver, claiming she was too famous to be charged. The captions only grew crueler. "Influencer meltdown tour, city by city. Sis, just go back to Marcus. This is what happens when you burn every bridge." Leo watched the clips beside me, shaking her head. "She's becoming a punchline. She always was," I muttered. "She just didn't know it." That night, another video dropped, the one that sealed her fate. It was Kendra again, standing outside our apartment building. But this time, she wasn't screaming. She was slumped against the glass doors, barefoot again, mascara running like war paint, whispering into her phone. Her voice cracked in the recording. "Marcus, please. I don't have anywhere else to go. Please." The video ended with her curling into herself, knees pulled to her chest, security finally guiding her away. That clip hit harder than the others. Not because it made me pity her, but because it confirmed what I already knew. Kendra had no home anymore. Not here. Not with me. Not anywhere. And the whole world had seen it. The thing about Kendra was that she never cared about numbers. To her, money wasn't real. It was just paper she turned into handbags, champagne, trips, likes. But numbers don't lie. And for once in her life, she couldn't spin them into a story. She found out the hard way. It started with an email, then a letter, then a phone call she wasn't expecting from the credit card company. I know because she called me afterward. Her voice was frantic, trembling through the speaker. "Marcus, there's been some mistake. They're saying I owe $42,000. That's impossible. You handle the finances. Just fix it." I leaned back in my chair, letting her words wash over me like music. "It's not a mistake, Kendra. The balance was always yours. I just made sure it stayed that way." Silence. Then a sharp inhale. "What do you mean, stayed that way?" I smiled, though she couldn't see it. "I transferred every cent into your name before you left for Bali. Clean. Legal. Binding. Congratulations, Kendra, you're finally independent." Her voice broke, shrill and desperate. "You can't do that to me. You ruined my credit." "No," I said, calm and even. "You ruined your credit. I just stopped cleaning it up." The line went quiet, except for her ragged breathing. Then she screamed, "You'll regret this. I'll tell everyone you trapped me, that you sabotaged me." I chuckled. "Tell them. Tell your followers you're broke, that every flight, every bag, every luxury lifestyle was paid for with credit you never bothered to understand. See how many brand deals line up after that." She hung up on me, but the fallout didn't stop there. The next week, she tried applying for an apartment lease. The landlord ran her credit score. Denied. She tried renting a car. Denied. She tried booking a hotel. Denied. Every attempt left a new rejection notice in her inbox. And every notice reminded her that Marcus wasn't footing the bill anymore. The influencer who had once lived in penthouses and luxury resorts was now couch surfing between acquaintances, each stay shorter than the last, as people grew tired of her drama and the chaos that followed her. And I knew all of it, because Leah showed me the screenshots. "They're posting about her in private groups," Leah said one night, sitting across from me on the couch. She tried crashing at a friend's condo, but the friend kicked her out after 2 days. Apparently, she drank half their wine stash and screamed at them when they asked her to buy groceries. I smirked. Sounds about right. Leah set her phone down, her eyes locking with mine. She's unraveling. And you're not even lifting a finger anymore. I took a slow sip of bourbon. I don't need to. The debt will do the work for me. That night, my phone buzzed again. Another message from Kendra. This one wasn't angry. It wasn't even desperate. It was pathetic. Marcus, they won't approve my rent application. No one will. Please, I don't know what to do. I'll do anything if you just fix this. I stared at the message for a long time. Then I typed one sentence. Consider it a gift for all the gaslighting. And I hit send. The night was quiet, the kind of heavy silence Miami rarely allowed. No music from Kendra's phone. No clicking heels. No drama spilling through the walls. Just me, a half-empty bottle of bourbon, and Leah sitting across the table with her glass of wine. She studied me for a long time before speaking. You should know something. Her tone wasn't casual. It was weighted, as if the words had been sitting on her chest for years. I leaned back, waiting. She exhaled slowly. I've loved you since college. The air seemed to stop moving. I blinked, unsure if I'd heard her right. Since college? Leah nodded, her eyes never leaving mine. I met you before she did, Marcus. Remember that party? You were the only one not trying to impress anyone. I remember thinking, this is the kind of man I want. I remembered. A blurry night, loud music, Kendra dragging me toward the dance floor while her quieter sister sat in the corner with a drink. I hadn't realized then that Leah had been watching me. You never said anything, I muttered. How could I? Her voice cracked, but she held steady. Kendra got to you first. And once she did, that was it. She always got what she wanted. And I was always background. Her word lingered between us. Background. I stared into my glass, the bourbon glowing amber under the kitchen lights. So all this time you've been, what? Waiting? No. She shook her head. I tried to move on. Relationships, jobs, distractions. But whenever I saw you with her, it hurt. Not because you were hers, but because she didn't see you. She never saw you the way I did. I looked up, meeting her gaze. There was no mockery in her eyes, no manipulation. Just raw truth. Leah leaned forward slightly, her hand brushing mine. I helped you expose her because she deserved it. But I stayed because you deserve better. Her hand lingered, warm against my skin. For a moment, the silence between us was charged, heavy with everything unspoken. I could feel the pull, the temptation, the simple truth that Leah had been there all along, watching, waiting, understanding. I leaned closer. Our faces were inches apart, her breath soft against mine. And then I pulled back. Not like this, I whispered. Her eyes searched mine, shimmering under the dim light. What do you mean? Not while her shadow is still here. Not while it feels like revenge instead of choice. Leah's lips trembled, but she nodded, pulling her hand back slowly. I'll wait, however long it takes. We sat there in silence, the weight of her confession pressing between us like a secret we could never put back in the box. Later that night, as I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, her words replayed in my head. She'd loved me since college. All those years of silence, all those years of being background. And now, with Kendra's empire burning around her, Leah had finally stepped into the light. The question was, what would I do with her? I knew it was coming before it even went live. People like Kendra don't vanish quietly. They rebrand. They rewrite the script. And sure enough, 3 weeks after the Bali ball humiliation, she was back on camera. The video was simple, just her sitting in a bare apartment, plain t-shirt, no makeup. The lighting was bad, her eyes red-rimmed. It was the raw honesty aesthetic influencers used when they were trying to sell redemption. Hi everyone, she began, voice cracking. I know you've seen a lot about me lately. I've made mistakes. I've hurt people I love, and I want to say I'm sorry. She paused, wiping at her cheek as if tears were falling. Marcus, if you're watching this, I need you to know, I never stopped loving you. I let my past confuse me. I thought closure would help me move forward, but it only showed me how much I need you. Please forgive me. The comments poured in instantly. Girl, no one's buying this. She just misses the money. Marcus, don't fall for it. But plenty of others rallied behind her. She looks broken, poor thing. We all make mistakes. Give her another chance. This is real, you can tell. Leah sat beside me on the couch, scrolling through the flood of reactions. She's good. I'll give her that. She knows exactly which strings to pull. I didn't answer. I was already typing. It took me less than a minute. No dramatic speech. No long explanation. Just one comment, posted from my verified account, right beneath her teary-eyed plea. You didn't make a mistake, Kendra. You made a choice. I made one too. The internet erupted. Screenshots flew across Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Comment sections turned savage within hours. Mic drop. Marcus said nope face with tears of joy. That's the coldest thing I've ever seen. Leah set her phone down, a satisfied smirk tugging at her lips. You didn't just close the door. You slammed it. I sipped my bourbon, watching the chaos unfold on screen. That's the thing about truth. Once you post it, it doesn't come down. Kendra's video stayed up for less than a day before she deleted it. But by then, the screenshots had gone viral. Her tear-streaked face paired with my cutting reply became a meme, a punchline, another nail in her coffin. And for once, she had no way to spin it. Later that night, as the city buzzed outside, Leah sat across from me with her glass of wine. She didn't say anything for a long time, just studied me, her expression unreadable. Finally, she whispered, "You know you're free now, right? She has nothing left to take from you." I met her gaze, steady and calm. She took everything already. I'm just making sure she doesn't take me with her. Leah nodded slowly, her eyes softening. Then let me take care of what's left. And for the first time, I didn't stop her when her hand found mine. The day of the divorce hearing felt colder than it should have. Miami sun poured through the courthouse windows, but the marble floors and echoing halls made everything sterile, detached, the perfect backdrop for the end of something that had already died long before. Leah came with me. She didn't have to, but when she placed her hand on my arm outside the courtroom, I didn't stop her. She was steady in a way Kendra had never been. Solid, grounding. Kendra arrived 10 minutes late. She swept in wearing oversized sunglasses, hair knotted into a bun, a plain blazer over her dress like she thought it would make her look respectable. But the cracks showed. The uneven lipstick, the slight tremor in her hands, the way her eyes darted around the hallway, as if she was looking for an escape. When her lawyer whispered something to her, she tugged off the sunglasses, revealing red-rimmed eyes and a face that had aged years and weeks. She spotted Leah at my side and froze. "You brought her," Kendra hissed, her voice sharp, cutting through the hallway buzz. "She wanted to be here," I said calmly. "And I didn't say no." Her mouth twisted into a bitter laugh. "Of course. She's been waiting for this, hasn't she?" Leah didn't flinch. Someone had to. Before Kendra could respond, the clerk called our names. The hearing itself was brief. The prenup was airtight. My assets remained mine. The apartment was mine. The accounts were mine. The only thing left in Kendra's name was the debt, $42,000, and climbing with interest. When the judge asked if we both understood the terms, I answered clearly. "Yes, Your Honor." Kendra hesitated, her lips trembling. Her lawyer nudged her, and she finally whispered, "Yes." And just like that, it was over. 6 years of marriage reduced to signatures and stamps. The gavel hit the desk, and Kendra's shoulders slumped like the sound had knocked the air out of her. Outside the courtroom, she pulled me aside, her voice breaking. "You were planning this. You and her." She glared at Leah. "You've been planning this all along." I held her gaze, calm, steady. "No, Kendra. You planned it the moment you booked those flights." Her jaw clenched, tears slipping down her cheeks. "You destroyed me." I shook my head. "You destroyed yourself. I just made sure the world saw it." Leah touched my arm gently, guiding me away, but not before Kendra whispered something I'll never forget. "You'll regret this. Both of you." Her voice cracked on the last word, and for the first time, it didn't sound like a threat. It sounded like a prayer no one would answer. We walked out into the sunlight, Leah at my side. Cameras flashed nearby, not for us specifically, but for the story. Influencer divorce scandal. Reporters shouted questions. I ignored them, pushing through the crowd with Leah's hand still lightly on my arm. In the glass reflection of the courthouse doors, we looked like something Kendra had never expected, a team. And in that moment, I realized she was right about one thing. This had been planned. Not by me, not by Leah, but by every choice Kendra had ever made. And this was the ending she'd written for herself. The story hit the news before we even made it home from the courthouse. Influencer divorce scandal blared across headlines. Clips of Kendra screaming at the Bali ball were spliced alongside grainy shots of us walking out of the courthouse together. The narrative was already written for us. The glamorous wife who cheated, the quiet sister who stood in the shadows, the betrayed husband who finally stepped into the light. It was a story too good for the media to ignore. Leah and I didn't plan to make a public appearance. But when the invitation came to a gala downtown, one that I'd confirmed months ago back when appearances still mattered, Leah suggested we go. Why not? She said, smoothing the fabric of her dress in front of the mirror. They're already talking about us. Let them see us for themselves. And she was right. The narrative was happening with or without us. Better to control it than to hide. The gala was held in a glass-domed hall overlooking the ocean. Paparazzi swarmed the entrance, their flashes exploding like fireworks as we stepped out of the car. For a moment, I hesitated. I wasn't used to this kind of attention. Kendra had always been the one who thrived in the spotlight. But when Leah slid her hand into mine, steady and certain, I didn't pull away. The cameras loved it. Marcus, over here. Leah, look this way. Marcus, how does it feel to move on with her sister? Leah, were you involved during the marriage? We ignored the questions, walking hand in hand up the steps, the crowd parting around us like we belonged there. Inside, the noise softened. The lighting was warm, the air filled with soft music and clinking glasses. People stared as we passed, whispers trailing behind us, but no one stopped us. Leah leaned closer, her voice low. They're watching us like hawks. Let them, I murmured. Halfway through the night, the first photo went viral. It wasn't staged. We weren't even aware it had been taken. It was just Leah laughing softly at something I said, her hand on my arm, my gaze fixed on her with a rare smile. The caption on Twitter was simple: "The sister always wins." Within hours, it was everywhere. Memes, headlines, gossip accounts. From side character to main event, Leah Reed steals the spotlight. Marcus upgrades from influencer to intellect. The Reed sisters' saga continues. The quiet one always knows when to strike. Leah saw it on her phone later that night, her cheeks flushing as she read the comments. They're making me sound like some kind of villain. You're not, I said. You're the one who told the truth. She looked at me, eyes searching. And what about us? What are we? I didn't answer right away. Instead, I brushed a stray strand of hair from her face, the gesture soft, intimate. We're whatever we decide to be, I said finally. And for the first time, she let herself smile without hesitation. The fallout for Kendra, though, was brutal. While Leah and I were stepping into the light, she was drowning in it. Tabloids published side-by-side spreads, her teary apology video next to Leah and me at the gala. Influencer gossip accounts dissected her every move. Brands that hadn't already cut ties released statements clarifying they did not support her actions. The public was ruthless. She lost her husband, her sister, her career. That's talent. Leah was the understudy. Now she's the star. This whole thing feels like a Netflix series. Leah and I didn't feed the fire. We didn't give interviews. We didn't post. We simply existed, and that was enough. Because sometimes the most powerful revenge isn't what you do. It's what you let the world do for you. It was late when the message came. The apartment was quiet, the city humming faintly beyond the balcony. Leah had already gone to bed, leaving her glass of wine half-finished on the counter. I sat alone in the living room, scrolling aimlessly when my phone buzzed. Her name, Kendra. For a moment, I almost ignored it. But curiosity won. I opened the message. You ruined me. Just 3 words, stark against the dark screen. I stared at them for a long time, feeling nothing. No guilt, no anger, just the calm certainty of a man who'd already moved on. Another message appeared before I could put the phone down. I have nothing left. No money, no career, no home. Do you feel good about that? I leaned back in my chair, exhaling slowly. She still didn't understand. Even now, at rock bottom, she thought I had destroyed her. So I typed, "No, Kendra, you did that to yourself." I just made sure it went viral. The typing bubble blinked, then stopped, then blinked again. Finally, one last message. You'll regret choosing her. I didn't bother replying. Instead, I hit the button I'd been waiting to press for months. Block. Her name vanished from my screen. Her voice, her chaos, her endless noise, gone. The silence that followed wasn't empty. It was freedom. I set the phone down and walked to the balcony. The city stretched out before me, glittering, alive. Behind me, I could hear Leah shifting in the bedroom, the quiet sounds of someone who belonged. For years, I'd lived in Kendra's curated world, a world built on lies, filters, and fragile glass. But tonight, with her last desperate message erased from my life, I knew the truth. I hadn't just closed the door on her. I'd locked it forever. And this time, there was no yellow envelope waiting on the other side.